Hey there, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Mercedes G-Class restoration project. If you liked the first episode, just drop a like, leave a comment. We really appreciate your support. Right here in this corner we have all the parts and pieces that I'm going to take to my workshop to replace all the seals and bearings. We have the radiator, the transmission, the engine of course. I'm going to fill all the oils and fluids back up. And then we have parts from the axles here. So when the axle houses come back from powder coating, we'll be able to assemble those and then bring the chassis back to life. Here on the stand we have the engine. It's an OM617 3-liter inline 5 diesel engine, and this is before the days of the common rail, so it's a pretty simple engine, but they are very reliable. Most of them make over 1 million kilometers, and this was the popular choice back in the day for the W460 G-Class. And right now you can see it's pretty dirty, pretty oily, pretty worn. So I'm gonna strip it down to the block and see what the inside looks like. The pistons, the cylinder walls, yeah, and then replace everything that's worn or broken. Hopefully it's nothing, or just not that much, but we'll see. So our main project for this episode is gonna be the rest of the bodywork. So yeah, let's get to work.
Now, to give a little bit of context to the work you see being performed in this video, as my brother said, the main focus is going to be the body restoration, but there are other projects going on at the same time, and I think that's just the reality of a project like this, is that you're not going to be starting one thing, finishing it, starting the next thing, finishing it. There's going to be wait times. You're waiting for something to be delivered. There's a buddy that can come out and help you with this thing. There's a deadline for the paint job. So you're going to be working at several things at a time, and that certainly has been the case in our experience. We're putting the engine up on a stand here to make it easier to work on. As Lasse said, he has the opportunity to take some of these more intricate mechanical components to his workplace at Mercedes-Benz and benefit from the experience that some of his colleagues have been there a long time, and also use specialized tools you need. The other thing you saw me do is I am preparing not just the frame, but also suspension parts, suspension links, brake components, the drive shafts, etc., to be sandblasted and powder coated. I'm going to go a little bit into why we selected powder coating for these components and painting for others, and over other techniques of rust proofing and finishing and all that in our next episode when we pick these parts up from being done. It was interesting to see. We talked a little bit with the gentleman who's going to powder coat these, and he said, yeah, all the seals have to come out and the bushings have to come out, and for the powder coating to work, an electrical current is flowing through the parts while they're being powder coated. So it's really important that any rubber components are coming off first, and they have to be free of grease. And well, when I delivered these pieces, it turned out that his definition of free of grease and my definition were not exactly aligned. But I'm really excited to see these parts come back from the powder coating. We're going to see that in our next episode. Then Mimi is back in the house. She's helping us, and she's picking up fabrication skills quickly. You can see that the prefabricated replacement panels have come in, and we're trying to weld those into the doors here. It quickly turned out that these replacement panels are not always perfectly aligned. They are not Mercedes-Benz originals. They are made by third parties, and they don't cost a whole lot of money, so I guess you have to be a little forgiving, but they certainly needed some adjustment before fitting in perfectly. Though still they are a big help and save a lot of time over coming up with something completely from scratch. One thing to note is that welding these panels is really difficult because they're quite thin. They're just a millimeter thick. And that's nowhere near as forgiving as, for example, the welding we did on our smoker build a couple years ago, which you may have seen on this channel. So it's really easy to burn holes in them, which I have done plenty of times, and only slowly am getting the hang of it. For all the panels that have to be replaced, we're trying to be as professional as we can, so we are replacing the entire panel. We're not just welding something on top, unless it really is a really difficult corner that is inside or underneath and no one's ever going to see it. Then we are okay with cutting corners a little bit. But anything that you're going to see on the outside of the vehicle or on these doors where alignment is really important, we're trying to be really professional, and it takes a lot of measuring and fitting and checking again, measuring again. So it can take a lot of hours to just fit a tiny little piece. And hopefully that's all going to pay off when a beautiful factory floor looking like body comes back from the paint job. But enough talking for now. Let's cue the music, and I'll catch you guys later. Some folks have asked us what our plans are for this vehicle when it is done and when the restoration is over. Are we thinking of selling it? And the answer to that is a definitive no, at least for the next couple of years. We have big plans for this vehicle. We already mentioned in episode 1 that we are hoping to build this into some sort of expedition vehicle, overland vehicle, something that is quiet and comfortable to drive for long distances. In that regard, we are thinking that we will insulate the cabin or the vehicle when it comes back from the paint job. Something that is really capable off-road. In that regard, we're going to throw on some different tires. Maybe in the midterm, get a suspension lift and get different suspension. We're going to put a winch on and get all the necessary recovery kit for self-recovery. We're also going to build rock sliders and different bumpers to protect the vehicle when we're taking it into the bush or into the mountains or whatever. It's also supposed to be something that is really reliable, and if problems ever arise, that you can repair yourself out in the middle of the desert. So we're going to need a comprehensive toolkit. And then finally, it's supposed to be something that you can live out of relatively comfortably in remote locations, so without access to any outside infrastructure. So the vehicle is going to get a freshwater tank. We're going to have to figure out some sort of pull-out kitchen setup, refrigerator, obviously some sort of power system that can power all that, maybe wire in some solar. And then we're going to put a rooftop tent on top, a place where you can sleep comfortably. And then this vehicle will hopefully take us to far corners. First, we're going to probably stick around in Europe and make sure we have all the necessary skills to get ourselves into and out of sticky situations. And then hopefully dare to go down to Africa, which, if you're not based in Europe, is just a 2-hour ferry ride from Spain. But before any of that can happen, we have a lot more work to do, and we're hoping to take you guys along for that journey. It's just amazing after years and years of watching other people build cool vehicles, overland expedition vehicles, and take them to amazing places on this wonderful planet, that we're finally have taken the leap of faith, and we are doing it ourselves. It feels kind of incredible. And yeah, we can't wait to go out to the great outdoors. Hope you guys stick around. And yeah, I'm going to cue some more music, and I'm going to catch you guys at the end. We have reached the end of week 8 and also the end of the second episode of the restoration series on our 1988 Mercedes G-Class. This actually is the last body panel that has not been perfectly fitted yet. Still needs some adjustments and then obviously to be welded in completely. Other than that, all the other body panels have been replaced. So everything that you saw earlier was rotten, rusted, all but gone. All that has been replaced. And so where there was kind of doubt in the back of our minds whether we were going to be able to take this really, body that was in really bad shape, which you saw in episode 1, and then get it to the point where we can send it to a paint booth and, get it back as something that looks like it could have rolled off the factory floor. Now we feel that there may be a chance that we're going to be able to pull this off. One thing to keep in mind when you see us restoring this vehicle here is that, one, we're restoration newbies, so this is kind of the first project that we're doing. We've done some welding, but nothing on kind of thin sheet metal like this, and there's a lot that goes into restoring a vehicle like that, which we are learning as we go along. So that's one. Number 2, if the title cheapest G-Class in Europe didn't give that away, we're working with a really small budget, so we have to be creative. We're trying to reuse scrap metal, and there was a door panel that we had bought and that we only needed a certain amount of, so we used the rest of it, cut it up to fix other body panels. So that's number 2. And number 3 is that the workshop here is great, and it has the basic tools, but it's not really equipped to do the restoration of a vehicle. So we don't have any hydraulic presses or electric saws or anything like that, which would give us really nice clean angles and things like that. All we have is an angle grinder. We're down to 1 now. We have a welder and a vise. So that's really what we're going on. And yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. So in the next episode, we still have some work to be done on the body. Some of the other panels are just spot welded, so they need to be fully welded in. Then we'll need to do a lot of sanding. There's still a lot of underbody protection coating on the underside of the vehicle, which is really difficult to remove. Then we'll apply some filler and then hopefully send it off to the paint booth. All that is to come up in episode 3. If you like this video, we really appreciate if you could hit the thumbs up. That helps the algorithm and helps other people find us. And leave a comment down below. Can be any comment. We'll really appreciate hearing from you guys. And then we hope to see you back here for episode 3. Thank you so much and stay tuned.